Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to our seminar in geography this afternoon. We are welcoming Claire Simonneau, who is a geographer and urban planner. And she is also a postdoc fellow at IFRA-Nigeria. She benefited from the Atlas program scholarship for postdoc fieldwork in Benin Republic, where she is currently, and she will present us research and fieldwork on the theme Who Owns the West African Urban Corridor, Urbanization Dynamics and Local Land Grabs, Insight from Benin. Claire, I think the floor is yours. Maybe you want to share your screen with us.
Thank you, Juliette. I'll share my screen. Okay. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you very well.
Screen.
The share screen is perfect.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad and honored to participate in this seminar today and to share with you my research. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for being connected tonight. Special thanks to the IFRA-Nigeria and to Vincent and Juliette for their commitments in the Atlas program and the organization of this event. So I am Claire Simonneau, a geographer and urban planner, currently associated researcher at Géographie-Cités, a French research lab in Paris. And my background is in geography and urban planning. My PhD was on municipal and land management in Benin Republic, and also worked in Cotonou as a project manager before my PhD. And following my thesis, I participated in many collective research programs that allow me to start to develop comparative perspective. So among other activities, I coordinated the research on non-speculative land systems, such as community land trust in the Global South. And I'm also now part of a team that, or a research program that explores land use conversion patterns in the Global South. And as Juliette has I've been selected as a beneficiary of the postdoctoral Atlas program to conduct a 2-month fieldwork in Benin Republic, mainly in the Cotonou metropolitan area. And since I arrived, let's say 1 week or 10 days ago, I will present more the broad framework of this research, the research design, the case study I plan to conduct, and first observations, and not so much results, obviously. But I think this is a great opportunity for me to have your feedbacks and comments, and hopefully this will help me to make this project maybe more accurate, relevant, and maybe open comparative perspectives with Nigeria. So I will be pleased to discuss with you after this presentation. So before I start, I would like to comment a little bit on the pictures I sent. So I took this picture in Cotonou, in the area of Fitrosé. You can see the entrance of a plot of land, and what is striking is that there's only 4 walls around a plot that is quite empty. So no building, no construction, even agriculture, nothing but 4 walls around the plot. And this is a landscape that that I've already seen in Cotonou. This is not new, and you can even find areas that are literally landscape of walls like this. So this is something that I wanted to understand further, and above all because it looks quite similar to other land patterns identified elsewhere in the world, for example in India, for example in Kenya. And I wanted to know more about these dynamics, these logics behind this kind of urban areas, and to what extent is it is similar to this other part of the world. And also, while urban studies pay a lot of attention to spectacular aspects of urbanization, such as slums or mega urban projects, I wanted here to focus on kind of ordinary city making at the local scale, the plot by plot urbanization by individuals. And this, all of these reflections is linked to broader research program that I'm involved in. So I would like to mention them. Since I really benefit from the collective reflections and discussions and seminars and so on. So I'm part of this comparative research program on land use conversion patterns in the Global South. And I'm also grateful to my colleagues in Benin Republic, with which I have the pleasure to collaborate during this fieldwork. Some of them are connected, I think. So at the University of Abomey-Calavi, in the Department of Geography, and also in the LARES lab. And so again, this individual research is really connected to collective reflection. So thank you to my colleagues. So the outline of the presentation is the following. So I will briefly set the scene, urbanization dynamics in Africa, then develop the theoretical framework, and then the research design, and share with you some first observation and case studies that I want to develop. So this research departs from the observation of urbanization dynamics at the global level, let's say. So since 2008, the world is mainly urban. So this has generated a lot of scholarship. But I want to point out that Africa has the fastest urban growth rate in the world. The continent's population is projected to double between now and 2050, and 2/3 of this growth will be absorbed by urban areas. And the projections say that in 2015, more than half of the African population lived in areas of more than 10,000 inhabitants. So this is a very fast urban growth. This is something that is already here, urban Africa. And this is a rate that has been never experienced elsewhere in history. So this is really a great challenge. In terms of geography, the geography of this urban Africa shows that there are different logics, different dynamics. There are some very big metropolises such as Cairo, Lagos, Kinshasa, but also urbanization of rural zone and new urban clusters such as the urban corridor in West Africa. And this is, yeah. And actually urban studies have quite studied these dynamics in area. In the media, in international reports, there have been a kind of mainstream approach or representation of African cities as chaotic. There is this idea that these cities are in crisis, that urbanization is a big problem. And without underestimating the daily difficulties of city dwellers and hard living conditions, of course, I think that this is a misrepresentation of these urban areas, and that much could be learned from African cities for urban studies in general. So in this sense, I look at my research in the post-colonial urban studies approach that is represented by, among other authors, this Jennifer Robinson with this book, Ordinary Cities. And she writes in this book that African cities should be considered as ordinary. That means we should, as scholars, examine what is really happening here, not considering these cities as failed cities, failed example of Western cities. And ordinary cities means also creative cities. We should examine what are the everyday practices, the challenges, but also the innovation that we can find in this place. So with this in mind, I now want to develop the theoretical framework and briefly develop the 3 academic debates at the global levels that I think are important. So first, following the fact that the world is urban, there have been an important debate around the concept of planetary urbanization. So the concept of planetary urbanization was first described by Henri Lefebvre in the 70s, but Brenner and Schmidt have used this concept to argue that today we are witnessing a global double phenomenon of first concentrated urbanization, so the concentration of individuals and activities in cities linked to globalization and globalization, and at another level, the diffusion of urbanization at the fringes, so the extended urbanization. So using this concept, the authors want to stress the fact that there are new processes of urbanization with an important role of capitalism in this, and also that there are new urban forms that emerge at the global level. There's more and more a blurred division between town and countries. There's global interconnection of territories, and also there's a globalization of urban inequalities. So I would like to contribute to this debate, to the examination of a new epistemology of the urban, new scales of urbanization. And I really believe in the importance of understanding contemporary modes of urbanization. What is really happening in these dynamics? And with this idea in mind that the urban is now out of the city. Secondly, I think that on new urban should have in mind the issue of inequalities. Indeed, what can witness growing importance of neoliberal urban policies in the sector, in the land sector, in the housing and housing credit sector also. So this dominant paradigm is mainly based on the withdrawal of the states from the land and housing sector, the implementation of policies designed to create stronger and larger market-based housing finance models. And then this leads to the commodification of housing, the increased use of housing and land as an investment asset within a globalized financial market. So this, as a consequence, one can witness a growing inequalities globally. And in the face of this, new urban social movements have emerged around the concept of the right to the city. We can see international NGOs that tries to weigh in the global debates on urban policies and strategies. New alliances between inhabitants and international social movements can be observed. So that these new stakeholders try to offer new perspectives to promote alternative models than the neoliberal one. And third, as I want to focus on the land aspects of urbanization, I deal with this land use conversion or land grabs debate of field. And we can identify 3 axes in this. So first, the work in geography that try to measure urban sprawl. So what is striking is that at the global level, again, at the global level, the build-up growth is faster than the demographic one. This is true at the global level also, and this is very important in Asia, as you can see in the graph. And this is linked to important commercial and residential projects, malls, luxury gated communities that need very large piece of land. There is a growing interest in urban studies in analyzing to what extent Africa is also following the same path. So there are many works that focus on the spread of a middle-class lifestyle, the global capital inflows in Africa. And the main question here is do African cities are the new frontier of the global, for the global finance? Second, that studying land dynamics needs to be informed of this global land grab questions. So starting from 2008, there have been a focus of research on land issues on large-scale land acquisition by foreign investors. This departs from scandals in Madagascar, where Daewoo Logistics acquired a very important piece of land for agribusiness without the local population to be being informed. So this has led to an important research on the impacts of these new stakeholders, foreign investors, on smallholders' livelihood. But this was mainly focused on rural context, and following this, and after this important in the 2010 decades on large-scale land acquisition, focus has progressively changed to urban land grabs theme. That means smaller scale land acquisition, more fragmented, gradual, and dispersed. And this is really in this perspective that I locate my research. So these urban land grabs are a more discrete process, but it is responsible for massive transformation of agricultural or other extensive land uses to urban land. As you can see on the pictures, that can be plot subdivision transaction with absolutely no building, that raises the issue of speculation, of the anticipation of land value, the anticipation of urban growth, finally. So I rely on this work that already showed that the distinction between urban and rural stakeholders in these processes are quite blurred, that we should be, that scholars should be aware of the role of capitalist interest, but also the role of legal and political frameworks and practices. And I can also rely on other case studies and tentative recent conceptualization in the literature. So, and particularly in the research program on land use patterns, land use conversion patterns, we have case study in India, in Dhaka, in Nairobi. So I rely on this whole literature to design my research. I think I'm a bit long, maybe. So my research project here is to understand what is going on the urban fringes of the metropolitan area of Cotonou, with two main axes. First, I want to pay attention to a diverse type of land acquisition patterns and their effects on former urban users, on urban dwellers, and their livelihoods in the context of the metropolitan area of Cotonou. So I would like to, during the field work, examine, observe what are the processes of land transaction and land use changes in the urban fringes, to be attentive or to be aware of who are the stakeholders, what are the land rights systems that are involved. I would like to be aware, to focus on the spatiality of this transaction, the temporality, and about the circulation of money. What are the prices? Where does the money come from? How it is invested? To what extent is it manifestation of urban capitalism that is growing in this area? The second perspective is on citizen mobilization. So I'm interested in understanding what are the reaction of the people that are impacted by these land transactions. May they be rural peasants, may they be autochthone people, and I would like to know more about the connection between local mobilization and international networks for organization that advocate for the right to the city. So for this field work, I would like to explore three main axes. First, to know more about the implementation of national public policies. I will talk about it in a few minutes, but there are major new national policies, reforms that impacts, I think, the land markets at the urban fringes. I would like to explore also the local governments and practices of urban management to see how, about the lotissement, registration of land transactions, may they be formal or informal. And above all, to do a field work on specific sites at the urban fringes of the metropolitan area of Cotonou. So maybe I will share with you the first not results, but the specific context, the metropolitan area of Cotonou and the sites that I choose for the fieldwork. So as I said, as a continuation of my previous research, I focus on Benin Republic and specifically the south of the country that is mainly urban. But I mean, it is part of a broader urban region that is now called the West African Urban Corridor. So this this corridor goes from Accra to Lagos or Ibadan. So this urban region has today more than 20 million inhabitants, and in 2050 one expects 50 million of inhabitants. It is composed of main cities. You can see them in red on the map: Accra, Lomé, Cotonou, Lagos. But also, and they are all commercial cities with important ports and economic activities linked to importation and exportation activities. But there are also in between these main cities, secondary cities that are growing, and an urban landscape that is made of buildings, houses, markets, construction sites. So many urban features, but not necessarily important cities in themselves. So this urban corridor is quite, in a way, it's really similar, or it confirms the hypothesis of planetary urbanization with this urban out of the city. And this is what is very interesting about this area. So the south of Benin has a long history of urbanization. Maybe I won't go very much in detail, but before the independence, there were already different generation of cities linked to kingdoms, to commercial activities, and to colonization. And after the independence in the 60s, there have been a very rapid urbanization, mainly on the coastal region. So this is where the urban areas are the most important. And one can estimate that this coastal region of Benin Republic is 2% of the national territory and 30% of national population, 50% of urban population. So this is really an important concentration in this coastal region. Another part of the context is the land rights systems. Again, I won't go in details, and sorry, this table is still in French. But I wanted to point out that in Benin, we are in a context of a plurality of land rights systems. So there is the customary system that still important, the state's system, official system with land titles, and in between many norms, many types of practices that does exist, that could be named informal, but that really shaped the way the city grows. So this is an important aspect. And last but not least, the context is one of important national policies and reforms since 2016, and the new president Talon, with an approach that is really focused on public-private partnership and important and very visible urban projects to attract investors, middle class and foreigners. And this is quite new in Benin, this focus on urban projects. And this is an important aspect also. So in terms of case studies, I propose to work on 3 main sites that are in red on the screen, in collaboration with my colleagues here in Benin. So 3 sites in the urban fringes of the metropolitan area of Cotonou that are quite different. So the first one in Calavi, this is located in the biggest in a municipality, at the north of Cotonou. This is the biggest municipality in terms of number of plots of land, and it has experienced a huge urban development since the 80s. This is where the new inhabitants, urban dwellers who cannot who cannot afford or cannot find a place to live in Cotonou. But this is also the place of very important land corruption. Actually, 2 former mayors have been put in jail recently because of that. And so the question of land transaction, land subdivision, land corruption is very important there. The second site is in Adjara. Here it is in the peri-urban area of Porto Novo. And we are in a region where investment in land is quite is a historical practices of local population, and the proximity to Nigeria is quite important in this story, because young people tend to sell the land that they inherit from their parents and leave the agriculture activities to work in Nigeria, to make commercial activities with Nigeria. And this has, in a way, boosted the land markets there. And the last site is Fidjrosset-Togbin. It is the place where I've been research first, or I have many other pictures to show. This third site is along the beach, and we can see very important processes of land subdivision that appear very clearly on the Google Maps. As you can see, in 2015, it's more or less agricultural land. In 2018, you can see some walls that appear that delimitates a plot of land that have been probably acquired by urban people. And an important thing is the construction of a road, as you can see in the map of 2018. I go on with the Google Earth maps or pictures. You can see in 2019 and 2021, the processes of plotting, of construction of walls is growing faster and faster. So in the field, yeah, here are the field. You can see these walls, big walls. Some of the plots are occupied by agriculture. I talked to these people, and they are, yeah, they can occupy the plot of land for free, and but they are in charge of controlling that nobody is trying to sell again this plot of land. You can see also many further. You can see plot of land that have been delimited, and with the information from the field say that the price have like being multiplied by 3 or 4 in a few years with the construction of this road. So this is probably a site for middle class investments or political elites investments. So this is something like I would like to explore further in the field work. On the other side of this road, you can see also these houses with red cross on the walls, because the governments wants to relocate all of the houses or commercial activities that are on the beach. And this is linked to a more global or more important project called Route des Pêches that try to attract tourism and tourists on the coast of Cotonou. So you can see very different dynamics in this field. There's a lot that is at stakes, and you have on one side of the road fishermen villages and local people that are evicted, and on the other side of the road plot of land that are sold at very high prices, and villas and so on. And my hypothesis also is that it is linked to another important national policies that is related to land administration. The history of this is that in 2013, there was a new code, land code, that has been decided in Benin, and there was a 10 years slot for the implementation of this code. And the first interviews I did shows that this reform is not really renowned, I mean, by the population, and probably this activates the land markets for political elites, and this is this kind of processes that we can observe in a FIT-ROCE top. And the last slide is on the second part of my project about what are the citizen mobilization or reaction or protests or non-protests facing these active land markets. We can see in the different sites important eviction, relocation of people, and the main issue that is raised is what is acceptable in the name of development, because the important project of the governments is really impressive, and these evictions are, in the name of development, and on one side there's quite no mobilization, and this should be questioned. And the conventional modes of protests through development association has been slowed with the arrival of the new president's Talon. But on the other side, there are new social movements. And I show here the example of this Federation of Inhabitants that is linked to a very important international social movement called SDI, Chaque Slum Dwellers International. And my hypothesis here is that this is maybe a new modes of protests that could be maybe more adapted to the new context of urban big projects development in Benin. I thank you for your attention, and I would be pleased to have your questions and comments.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you for a good paper. I've got quite a few questions, but I'm sure we can open the floor to anyone in the room who would like to ask questions. I think what we're going to do is that we're going to ask people to raise their hands. We're going to ask 2 or 3 questions in a row, and then we're going to ask Dr. Simonneau to answer them. So try to keep your comments quite short, please, and try to ask questions, please, if that makes sense. Thank you. So we'd like to go first. We'll go ahead somewhere.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I'm Mr. Adeniro Oluwagbemi from Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria, OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. My question is actually, I wouldn't know how to start, but relatively, this is not my field, that is academic field. I belong to sociology of religion, and I try to understand the role religion plays in the society generally. Nevertheless, I saw this topic as an interesting topic because there could be some possibility that such land grabbing issues is also happening currently in some parts of Nigeria. That is, given the issue of some rural aspects of some states where bandits go, displace the people, Boko Haram issues and the like. However, my question or my interest in this current paper that has been presented is with regards to, is it the case that the urbanization that is going on is a government urbanization process, or it is the issue of fighting for resources or some kind of African corruption going on or something? I wouldn't know, maybe I missed that. I wouldn't know, but I need that understanding of the sort of land grabbing that is currently ongoing in the case study that the researcher is working on. Is it government-oriented urbanization process? I think, is it the government that is trying to develop the local community and this is causing some interest, or is it the issue of insurgency or the issue of the elite or some class of people trying to override the lower class or something? So I just want to understand the sort of land grabbing or urbanization project that is ongoing in the case study that has been presented. Thank you. I don't know if that has been said already, but I didn't get it clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ari. May I check with our speaker that she understood the question, because there was lots of background noise. Are you okay, Claire? Could you hear the question?
I guess I've grabbed the question.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Could we ask two other speakers to ask the short questions, please? We've got the two next ones. We've first got Mr. Adeni Badegesin and then Mrs. Alex Ubuja, please. And after, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
A very good evening to all of us. Oh my God. A very good evening to all of us. This is Adeni. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I joined late a little bit, but my question is straightforward. I want to ask the presenter, what is the extent of land titling in Benin Republic now, or let me be specific, in the study area around Cotonou? What is the extent? How far has land titling gone? Because this is the only way. Once you title the land, then there's hope that the issue of land grabbing will be reduced to the minimum. Thank you.
Mr. Alex Obuja, please.
Okay.
Sorry, it's my mistake. I muted you again. You can speak now, Mr. Alex. Please.
Okay. Thank you so very much. My name is Dr. Alex Ubuja. The network did not allow me to get the gist of the presentation, but I was coming in and, you know, I'm going out most often, but I want to understand, I heard part of what you said about land grabbing and the challenges for Africa, especially in the case study that you did. I want to ask, is there, can we map out or chart clearly any link between, you know, poverty in Africa, the slums that we have in Africa, and then the inefficient political leadership that we have? I want you to explore, or rather, to respond to the issues of poverty and slums and the inefficient political leadership. What's your assessment of the issue of poverty, slums, and the inefficiency of leadership in Africa?
Thank you, Dr. Obuja. It's a big question. May I ask our presenter to answer the three questions, if that's okay with you, Claire? Please.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much to you all. So the first question, I think I understood that it was who leads these land grabs? Is it political elites, governments, or local communities? I think that was the question. And maybe to be clear, I'm very interested in this. I don't focus on a specific social group, but as a geographer, I focus on specific areas and specific urban forms. So I'm really interested in this plot by plot urbanization. may it be the facts of political elites or middle class or more lower income people. So yeah, and I think this, yeah, I hope I've understood the question rightly. The second question was on the extent of land titling. So at the national level, it is 2% of the national territory. So it's very low. In the Cotonou municipality, I think this is 20%, but I have to check the exact figures. And so this is very low anyway. But the land national reforms, the objective of these reforms is to extend the number of land titles. So land titling should be compulsory starting from 2023. And this is a big challenge for the land administration. And this is the point of this project that I mentioned. And I think this reforms in a way boosts land markets and land titling. But unfortunately, the information of these land reforms and the new procedures are not really well known in the population. So this is one very important aspect I think I should explore. The third question on the link between poverty, slums, and inefficient political leadership. Actually, as I said, I don't focus on slums in themselves, but for sure, this small-scale land grabbing is linked to the informal economy, since land serves as savings. So many people just buy land to be able to get cash when they resell it. So I think, yeah, I wouldn't say poverty, but informal economy, the functioning of informal economy is very important in my research.
Thank you, Claire. Can we have the next round of questions? I thought someone with their hands up before.
Alex,
Alex, your hand is still up, am I right? Or is it an old hand? Maybe it's an old hand. Maybe not. No.
No, I think I'll go with her response. Okay. But she actually has mentioned that you know, the issues that I would have wanted her to weigh in on are not really part of our research and the interest. So it's okay. But in the long run, I am a firm believer that research, especially for those who are interested in Africa, should not just be for the sake of research, but to use these knowledge productions as basis for transforming, you know, the African political situation. So my own is, even though you are a geographer, see how to bring in certain aspects of you know, politics and political situations to weigh in on your interest, so that you are able to profile solutions that will be more pragmatic to the challenge that all of us in Africa are facing. So that is just a way of contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. It's quite interesting, actually, you just said, because, you know, in research in many African countries, you have to ask for recommendations. Myself, I'm a historian, I can see at the end of, you know, dissertations, you got recommendations, and something is true. It's true, we're not trained for in northern countries. Sometimes we don't issue recommendations at all. And I guess, you know, that's the way we train differently sometimes, I guess, you know, that could be part of the answer. Mr. Tayo, do you want to ask a question, please?
Hi.
Mrs. Tayo, sorry, please.
Agumbiade is my name. No problem. This isn't really an answer from what you have said, Claire, and I thank you for for your presentation. It seems to me that homelessness may be one of the fallouts of what you're discussing here, and also loss of income. And if that is the case, is this something that the government of Benin Republic has taken note of? If the big investors are coming into, and there's a lot of land grabs and all of that, and people are being deprived of the land, and then the cost of land has gone up. It's all looked at housing. You also mentioned the fact that along the sea, along the coastline, there's also some big development going on. And so maybe the fishermen and those who rely on the sea for their income also may lose out in all of the deals that are going on. So, is this something, the fallouts of what you've said, is this something that the government has taken note of and something is being done about it? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Now we've got a question from Prof. Lalekan Taiwo, who is the head of department of geography at University of Ibadan, where we are. So we're neighbors. Please, Prof, can you hear me? Maybe. Hang on, can't hear you if you're speaking right now. Wait a bit. Give me 2 seconds. There you go. Now you can speak, please. Oh, no.
Maybe it doesn't hear us.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. I was just thinking that climate change, could it be a variable? Pressure from climate-related indicators could push people to land grabbing in Africa. I was just thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last question for our round, maybe someone else, the last person. Sorry, RA, is your hand up again? I think your hand might be up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the privilege to speak once again. While the researcher has responded to, in a way, I didn't still get the answer clearly, but nevertheless, the question is with regards to this presentation overall. Is the presentation with the interest of sharing the knowledge of an ongoing work or levels of a finished work or an ongoing work whereby this audience could, in a way, inject some of the things into it? Is it a review purpose, that is for us to have an insight of what she has done or what she's doing and how maybe we as a network of colleagues could help impute or raise some questions that could give some insights or possible way for her to also consider when it comes, because this is Africa and relatively the voice of Africans and their, let me say, their insight too could help to avoid a sort of armchair scholarship or something here. I wouldn't know if that is clear enough.
There's a TV screen behind you, so it's very hard to hear everything you're saying, I'm afraid. But I think we. I thought I got the gist. Sorry. And I might.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me again? I've left the place. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's much better now. Do you mind saying?
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. The question is this project a finished project already? That is, this current research, is it a finished research or is an ongoing research which the possible insight of maybe collaborators could help to maybe drop in 1 or 2 recommendations with regards to the final output? All right, because he mentioned she's not looking at the players in the land grabbing, that is, who are the people really grabbing this land, which I wouldn't think could stand alone without understanding the motive, without understanding the direction and what is really influencing this land grabbing. All right, thank you.
Okay, we heard you went back to this time.
Yeah, thank you.
Doctor, we heard you this time, thank you. Dr. Simonneau,
yeah.
Simone, would like to answer, please? For your 3 questions, please.
Yeah. Thank you for all of your questions. Okay, there was Okay, the question of homelessness, absence of income. Maybe I will answer to a few questions at the same time. Maybe that was not clear in my presentation, but the issue that is behind this understanding of land grabbing is really the issue of inequality. And who are the losers and the winners of this phenomenon, of these processes. Even if I don't focus on slums or homeless people, I wonder to what extent these processes do produce more exclusion or inclusion. And I would say that the first case studies that I begin to explore on the coast, on the beach, is apparently producing really important inequalities. So, and this is a way to answer also to, I think, the question of Mr. Alex on a pragmatic solution in the end of this research. I don't think I would be able to offer recommendation and pragmatic solution because I don't feel I could do it, but I will really discuss political orientation or the strategies of national policies and local policies. So this is not operational research, but this is, I guess, pragmatic research and involved in this question of inequalities. And this is the beginning of the research. Also, this is not finished, and at the beginning of the field work. And regarding climate change, of course, this is an important issue. I would say more broadly the environmental issue, because the metropolitan area is on the coast, also in very humid zones. So the land issue is also an environmental one, and the way the coast will be planned is very important for the future of these ecosystems. So this is something also I would like to further explore if I can. Thank you. I hope I answered all the questions.
Thank you. We've got in the chat, got two questions, the last two. Maybe we can finish like this with questions from the chat, you know. One, violence, and one on ethnic cleansing, so intentional, yes. What do you think about the first one, violence, linked to land grabbing?
Maybe I would like to know more about what do you mean by violence, what kind of violence? For sure, these processes are violence because some people are evicted. There's the question of power relations that are quite violent also, but maybe you are.
But Prof. Taiwo, would you like to elaborate?
Yes, thank you very much. All over Africa now, we have crises, inter-ethnic crises here and there, people fighting here and there, and the ultimate goal many times is that power relationship and then consequently land grabbing, expanding or extending territories, frontiers. And in a way, this could be a factor. It could be a subtle factor behind land grabbing. That's why I'm just like curious. It could be a factor to look at, no matter how insignificant it may be. We've seen that in Nigeria. We've seen that in Nigeria, and it could play out again in Benin. Thank you.
Would you like to answer the question now, Dr. Simonneau, or would you like to wait for me to maybe there's something about, you know, the second question about ethnic cleansing might be difficult to answer. You might want to talk, and there's a third question, which is gendered aspect of land grabbing, basically. Yeah. Would you like to answer now? We've got 3 questions. And after we're going to finish after that, I promise you're
okay. No, that's very interesting, because these are some issues that I know less. So I'm very interested. So the ethnic aspects of all of this is important. Also, there's this opposition in practices, in the discourse of local stakeholders, in between local people and I mean the autochthonous people that were the first occupants of the land, and the other ones, the strangers, foreigners, and this I have the electricity is
we're good, we can hear you, it's fine.
Okay. So this kind of frame the discourse of stakeholders. This is this brings a lot of values. Also, this is very symbolic. Who are the first occupants of the land? But I think this is, from what I know, this is less powerful than political powers and financial means of the different groups. And capitalist motivation contributes, of course, a lot. And about women, this is field work where I mean only men. Actually, this is all the stakeholders, the buyers, the brokers in the ministry. These are many men, but in another way, there are other research that I'm trying to. I start to read about the fact that growing land markets at the peri-urban areas facilitates women to access land, because traditional rules, traditional rules do not allow women to access to land. So this is an aspect that I should also develop further, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Simonneau. Would you like to share your email address with everyone in case someone has other questions? Maybe is it okay if we share it in the chat? Can you share your email address?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sorry.
So that if you got more questions,
if you
got more questions, we'll be happy to do so. But let me find it for you. We're gonna find it.
Or maybe you can type it.
Can you type it yourself? Actually,
of course. Yeah.
But meanwhile, let me thank everyone here, and first Dr. Simonneau for taking the time to give this paper. Dr. Simonneau is currently doing a field trip in the Benin Republic, so not too far from Ibadan, across the border, even if it's a bit complicated, as Mrs. Ruffley will confirm now, to cross the border at the moment. But you know, we'd like to thank you, Claire Simonneau, for being with us tonight. I'd like to thank also all the participants today for being here, all those who attended this this talk. As you could tell, everything was recorded, so it means that, you know, once we've worked secrets of YouTube, you will find the recorded version of this paper on YouTube. So thank you all, and have a good night. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.